Sometimes real life gets between us and the things we're passionate about. But if we're lucky, we find the road back to those things. Ren Harvey is a good example. You see, as a little girl, she loved looking for arrowheads and making drawings of them. But it took decades before she got back to her real passion. Rob Wiles recently met this Nashville artist who's using her talents to help correct a little bit of history.
Almost ever since people began building them, roads have been compared to life. The long and winding road, the straight and narrow path. For some people, the road just goes straight. But for people like Ren Harvey, the road can take some different turns. You might even wind up in a different place or a different century.
I found my first arrowhead when I was 14 years old. And that was kind of it. I was collecting fossils and things like that, but the arrowhead, the spear point, I just blew my mind how old it was.
As a little girl in Canada, Ren dreamed of being an archaeologist and an artist. But Ren had other talents. She could run and run and run.
And the running got me my education. So because I was one of Canada's best, I got recruited to come to the U.S.
Running paid for her education and then led her to be a running coach at the University of Illinois and then at Florida State, with little time to do almost anything besides becoming a successful coach. Then the road took another turn, which led her back to her childhood loves of art and archaeology.
Yes, hello.
Ren got her chance to explore those when she came to work in Nashville at the Mercy Multiplied Ministry. There was more time to relax, and she almost became a kid again, delighting at discovery.
Dude, I just picked this up, and just 1 foot over, I think I got a stunner. Look at the teeth. Can it all be there? I see a base. Come on, let's pull it. Oh, it's a stunner. Oh!
I got really connected back to the Native American side of me, that I love them. I love their history, their culture, what they stand for.
So the road took another turn. Ren began creating portraits of Native Americans, which led her to the work of John White, who was a part of the Roanoke colony, which came to what is now North Carolina back in 1585 and is famous as the Lost Colony, from which all the inhabitants mysteriously disappeared. One of White's tasks was to create paintings of Native Americans to show Queen Elizabeth, who helped establish the colony. One of those paintings is called The Hunter. When Ren saw it, well, the road turned again.
I looked at this painting and I thought, I love it. It tells me so much about the Algonquians. But I know that that's not a Native American face that he put on him. It was so quickly done. The body stance and the style that these paintings were done was European 16th century. And he was also painting quickly for the Queen. And so I was like, wait a minute. This is very European looking, but there's information here that can be expressed deeply, and there's education there that I feel like I can bring back to life.
Which involved research with experts around the world on things like the color of the body paint on the Hunter.
People love the body paint on this guy. I mean, it's very elaborate. And I had wondered if he was showing the exact color of it, because these paintings were damaged over time.
Researchers told her the actual paint would have come from the bloodroot plant and would probably be a bright red.
So I contacted the British Museum and I said, could John White have had this color in the 16th century? No. So his color is like a dark orange, but it's only because he wouldn't have had it, you know? So I changed the color of the body paint to be more correct, like bloodroot.
Ren studied everything from the arrows in the quiver to the feather the hunter wore. And along the way,
counties and cities often have rivers and creeks.
She met Helen Roundtree, a teacher and author who has extensively studied Native Americans. She gave Ren insight on how the hunter probably looked and showed her that the road can take some strange turns.
He's really muscular, like kind of very 16th century. Like if you were to study 16th century art, he looks very classical. But as Helen and I talk about, and it was funny when she said this, I laughed. She said, these guys would have been like cross-country runners because they would shoot to kill their prey, but they're not always getting it the first shot. So they would shoot and chase it and shoot and chase it. So she's like, they were very fit, very lean. They were not muscly like John White has showed them. So I really leaned him down.
Helen liked Ren's work so much that she asked her to illustrate a book, which just happens to be about the Roanoke colony, the lost colony. The road Ren is on now is not a rebuke of the artist John White and his hurried sketches to show Queen Elizabeth where her money was being spent, but to restore something else that was lost at Roanoke.
I think a lot of it is just my respect and just admiration for Native American people. And I wanted him to look Native American. But more than anything, I just felt like I would maybe bring a little more honor to these people that are no longer here.